Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Cyrex podcast. It's your host, Karthikar, and this time we're doing video, changing a little bit from the audio. Today we have a special guest, and we met on Instagram. See, social media is amazing, right? She is a coach, mindset therapist, like all in one, and she empowers parents thrive. Welcome, Lisa, to Cyrex podcast. How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. So, Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what do you do? And I'm sure the audience, a pretty little audience right now, would love to hear from you.
My name's Lisa. I'm from Australia. And what do I do is a really hard question to answer at the moment. So I'm a full-time stay-at-home mum and an entrepreneur. I podcast, I write. I'm now a content creator, a coach, and I have online courses and digital products and all these sorts of things. So my why behind everything I do is to create a healthier future for my kids. And what I do is trying to figure out how do I best reach people to help people on their journey. Because for me, I've realized that all the changes that we want to see in society, it all begins with personal transformation. And so it's how do I get that message out there to people of not just what personal development is, but how do you actually make it actionable and accessible. And everything I do is on that learning curve of, okay, well, I started with a book and then I wanted my best friend and my husband to read it, and they wouldn't read it, but they would listen to me when I read it out loud or when I sent them a voice note. So then I started a podcast because I was like, cool, I'll read it to you. And then the podcast, and I ended up having an online course as well because I got some advice financially. Just writing a book isn't going to, create the financial freedom that I want for my family as well. And so everything has kind of just been a part of the journey of figuring it out as I go.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I'm sure it must have been pretty hard. I mean, you started with a book and you're doing a completely different thing, like podcasting. I mean, which is like, I'm kind of trying out writing too, but I started with podcasting. I'm trying to go back to writing. So it's kind of been, a mess. I'm all over the place. Yeah, so respect for you for figuring things out for all by yourself. And may I ask you how you got into this field, like mindset and training or moms in general? What inspired you to get into this?
Not mums specifically, any parents, because
Any
gender is
parents,
irrelevant to me.
of course.
But I started in IT. So my degree is in IT and information systems, and I've worked in the corporate world. I specialized in data for a long time, and AI thought leadership and strategy, all that sort of stuff. And so for me, the personal development didn't come about until I was 30 weeks pregnant. And I had an emotional breakdown. And I thought, how am I going to be responsible for someone else when I feel like I can't even take care of myself right now?
Completely.
And so that was 5 years ago. And since then, I have learned a lot about myself, about personal development, about psychology, neuroscience, neuroplasticity. I've discovered 14 areas of health and well-being that impact us all, whether we realize it or not. And so the whole piece for me is learning how to live my best life and become the best person I can be, as some people would refer to it, to become my highest self, showing up for my kids in the way that they need me, and learning all the things now that I didn't learn when I was younger. And so the parenting side of things, actually, for me, parenting was the beginning of my journey in that I really understood what it was that was important to me, my purpose and my why. And then specifically focusing my content on parents at the moment, I only started that a month ago because in the entrepreneurial world, there's this idea that if you speak to everybody, you actually speak to nobody. So when I was just sharing personal growth and development things, I was connecting with people randomly, but not to the point that I could really help them and make it clear, hey, I understand you and here's how I can help. And so right now I'm trialing. I was very hesitant to pick a niche for a long time because I thought, well, everything I'm learning could help anyone who's willing to do the work.
Yeah.
But I couldn't articulate it well enough. So eventually I sat down and went, okay, well, who do I think is willing to do the work that I want to help the most? And I realized it's other parents like me who want a healthier future for their kids, and they want to know how, but maybe they're too time poor and they don't know where to start, or maybe they don't care to dive down the rabbit holes as much as I do, because I know it's not for everyone. But a lot of people would appreciate the insights without having to do the work. So that's kind of where I ended up, or where I am currently.
Mhm. Oh, that sounds amazing. God, that's a great journey. Yeah, and having been a parent yourself, I'm sure you could relate to so many parents even struggling with their lives, their daily lives, and their professional lives, and all their mindsets and everything. And yeah, I want to talk about something in specific. You mentioned like researching into neuroscience and neuroplasticity, right? So, and you also talked about rewiring mindsets through neuroscience. So, could you share a specific example of how a parent can apply neuroplasticity to, let's say, break a self-sabotaging or a negative parenting pattern?
Yeah. So um, let me think of an example.
Actually,
Let's
don't
talk
know,
about
like
one that
just.
no. Let's talk about one that I think is something that
Mhm,
most people struggle with, whether you're a parent or not, which
mhm.
comes to self-regulation. So
Okay.
a lot of us, myself included, didn't learn emotional regulation and didn't grow up with emotional maturity or
Mhm.
emotionally resilient parents. And
Yeah.
so one of the ways that you can apply, so let's take a step back. Neuroplasticity is just the ability to learn something new in a
Yeah,
nutshell. So it's the ability to rewire your brain to a new behavior. And every
totally.
time you practice something, you are probably going to feel some discomfort because you're doing something that isn't an existing programming inside of you. So you're
Yeah.
actually putting in extra effort. So it's that metabolic churn inside your body of doing something with effort that causes that discomfort, which I
Hmm.
think is a very important mindset shift and reframe for a lot of people who
Mm.
think discomfort means no, avoid it, it's dangerous. But actually,
Yeah.
discomfort in these types of scenarios is the feeling of change, of doing
Yeah.
something consciously. And so if you take that to emotional regulation, it's people think in the moment how overwhelmed they feel by their feelings and they might react instead of responding to a child, irrelevant of the
Hmm.
situation.
Totally.
Now, if you look at that from a neuroplasticity perspective, okay, how do I respond in a healthier way?
Hmm.
It's taking each step at a time and practicing each step at a time. So purely
Hmm.
recognizing, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed and labeling the feeling. That's like
Hmm.
step one. And
Yeah.
if you can start noticing when you feel overwhelmed, that's
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah.
And then step two, okay, I've noticed I feel overwhelmed. Now what do I do? so, so then it's okay. I know how to reconnect the thinking part of my brain, which is by taking physiological sighs or any breath that has an exhale longer than an inhale.
Hmm.
And that actually signals to my brain and body and nervous system, hey, I'm safe.
Hmm.
And you can reconnect everything. So instead of being in fight or flight mode, you go back to your parasympathetic nervous system, which is where your prefrontal cortex, that front bit of your
Hmm.
brain that does the logical problem solving stuff, that comes back
Hmm.
online and it's now available. Okay, so step one, I've practiced noticing that I'm dysregulated, and then eventually I get good at noticing that and I want to do something about it. But now every time I notice, I can take a deep breath and I can
Yeah.
reconnect the brain. And that's step two. And then
Hmm.
breaking it down again. Okay, so okay, I'm taking a breath now. I still feel angry. That's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay to feel whatever you're feeling. You can choose how to respond consciously. So you
Yeah.
can choose to acknowledge, I'm feeling really angry right now. I need some space. I'm feeling really angry right now. Can we pick this conversation later? I'm feeling really angry right now, but it's not your fault I'm feeling this way. I'm going to take
Hmm.
some more deep breaths before I respond to you.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
over time, as you practice these skills, you are
Hmm.
building emotional resilience and you're
Totally.
modeling it to your child, who then
Hmm.
sees, okay, when my parent feels angry, they take some deep breaths and they let me
Hmm.
know that they're feeling angry. And so over time, you're modeling it
Oh.
for them, and you also get better at co-regulating, because if you can keep yourself calm when they're having big feelings, you're
Yeah.
again modeling it to them then. So one of the big pieces for me, one of the big game changers for me as a parent, and just
Hmm.
my own general well-being and stress levels and anxiety and all that sort of
Hmm.
stuff, just being able to recognize when I feel overwhelmed and know how to calm myself down and build that up over time. You can
Hmm.
rewire your brain to be less anxious, less stressed, and responding calmer and more controlled, maybe not controlled, in calmer and more responsive ways rather than reactive.
Well, that's amazing. I actually, this kind of, jogged up a memory that I kind of an episode that I had with a good friend of mine. Her name's Kat. So she said something like you did. So don't react, but respond. So I guess that's kind of the core point of this too, right? So, and you also mentioned something about inhaling a little bit and then analyzing your thoughts and then exhaling for a long time. So can you explain why you recommend that?
same, but take the step of analyzing your thoughts out. So irrelevant of the thoughts, whatever's going on in your body, if you notice that your breath is really fast and your heart's beating really fast, it's your body responding to the stimulus it's getting. You have the ability to tell your brain and nervous system that actually you're safe and it's okay to calm down and slow things down by exhaling longer than you inhale. So when you inhale, when you exhale longer than you inhale, it slows the heart rate down, it sends a signal up to the brain, hey, I'm calm. It's okay. So even if everything around you feels chaotic and the thoughts are going crazy and you feel your heart racing, if you can recognize that that's happening and you can slow your breath down intentionally, and the important part is that the exhale is longer than the inhale, that signals to your nervous system and your brain, hey, it's okay to calm down. It's okay to reconnect anything. I'm not in danger. Because all of that other stuff is parasympathetic, your sympathetic nervous system trying to protect you, which is great if you're in a real emergency.
Totally.
But a lot of the time it comes up from chronic stress and from feeling overwhelmed because you've got stuff going on rather than you're actually in danger.
Yeah. I mean, this happens to me a lot. So when I take up, if I just open my to-do list, there's like 1,000 different tasks, and I would have just, done only like 5 of them. So then I get like overwhelmed, and I got like 3 hours left of the day, and then I have to do, I rush everything, and I get overwhelmed, and then the whole thing just craps out, right? So you don't get anything done like properly, and that's when the overwhelmed feeling comes into me. Even though I've been practicing, meditation and breathing techniques, deep breathing and all that, I didn't do this, exhaling longer than I inhale. So you know what? I'm gonna try this. So that's takeaway number 1 for me. And
So can we talk about that for a moment?
please,
Your
yes.
list there, because you've got multiple pieces in there. So one, recognizing that you feel overwhelmed and doing the exhales longer. That's great. 2, the meditation and the breath work outside of the moment are also excellent because you are practicing being in control of your breath and being in tune with your body. So they're great. The third piece there is actually nothing to do with either of those. Your tasking needs work. So if you work, I could have said that in a kinder way, sorry.
That's okay.
But if you look at this huge long list, that list isn't serving you. The way you're breaking your work down and the way you're tracking your to-do list, it's not serving you. So I would start there for you.
Well, thank you. So, you know what, I think I'm taking on a lot more than I can handle. So, you know what, I'm gonna just turn it down to actually what the things that I could do, like at this moment or something, and then break it down into like actionable time blocks where I could actually focus on the work. So I'm kind of working on that right now, but thanks for the, hint. And how does, you also mentioned something about, co-regulation, right? So how you behave, you impart that on your kids. So if let's consider a parent who's juggling career and families, and how could they effectively model their emotional intelligence for their children? So when they're overwhelmed, and you said that, okay, recognizing it and then taking a deep breath and then letting your child know in a kind way that you want to take a moment alone rather than immediately reacting, right? So how could you, for example, if someone is feeling like really low and when there is a child in need, it's in severe attention. For example, he needs to get a homework done, or there's kind of an emergency or something like that. I cannot come up with a sorry, really parenting situation. So, how can parents effectively model their emotional intelligence for their children?
So, 2 things there. The first part is being aware of your own emotions. So, if you're feeling dysregulated and overwhelmed often, you probably need to look at what's causing your chronic stress and how are you practicing self-care and self-love. Because if you're so busy with juggling and career and all these things, which is common, it's kind of the world that we live in a little bit, but you also need to actively take care of yourself. So if it's happening too often, it's okay, how do I wake up and do just 5 minutes of meditation and 10 minutes of journaling or something like that, and have a behavior that you have that helps you let everything out. And doing those in front of your kids is great because your kids can see, oh, that's how my parent takes care of themselves. And you can say, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I think I might go and journal for 10 minutes. Do you want to journal too? And I'll get you a pen and you can sit with me and we can just journal together, right? So you can model the behavior by inviting them into it when you take care of yourself. When it comes to responding to your kids, when I first started learning, it was like I would overreact to things and then eventually I hit a point where I could recognize the anger and I would remove myself from the situation. And then over time, you build the ability to just sit with the discomfort, label it internally for yourself. So let's say your child is having a big moment. It's actually relevant in any relationship. You're with someone, a friend, a romantic partner, a family member, anyone, and you can see that they're really emotionally overwhelmed and they're behaving in a way that you almost feel like you're taking on their emotions. You can sit and notice that. Notice, I'm starting to feel a bit anxious in reaction to what's going on.
Okay.
And just reminding yourself, this is about them, not about me. I can take some deep breaths and I can calm my body down and I can listen actively and be here for them to create a safe space for them to just let it out, because right now they're feeling overwhelmed and this is their emotional experience. This is not my emotional experience. So I can stay calm. And so in that moment, just by being calm, you created a safe space automatically for the other person to just let it all out and regulate themselves. And then they might kind of go, oh, I feel so much better. Thanks for letting me get that out.
Oh,
and
that's
literally
what
all you did was you just focus on your own breath. And you create a space for them. That's it. And then, you can either guide them or help them or just ask them some insightful questions around how, what do they want to do about it. But obviously check in with them to see how much help they want. But just by regulating yourself, you're literally modeling for another person, hey, I'm calm. You're safe right now. This is a safe situation. Like, just let it out.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, despite what happens in front of you, despite how the other person is reacting, you should manage to keep yourself calm so that you create a positive environment for them to let their emotions out. Oh, is that what every therapist does in the world?
I'm not a therapist, by the way. I think you said at the beginning therapy. I'm not a therapist.
Yeah.
I think therapists, actually, there's different kinds of therapy, so I won't answer on behalf of that. But
Oh, that's okay.
Typically, that's how emotionally matured people respond. So, when you feel really overwhelmed and there's somebody that just you feel better around, it's probably because they know how to control their own emotions and because you don't feel responsible for dumping on them because they've dealt with their own emotions and they're actually helping you rather than you affecting them.
Yeah, got it. And the thing that most piqued me that you just mentioned was self-care practices, right? You actually mentioned that you could journal out your feelings or meditate, and inviting your child, inviting your partner into your practices so that they would be able to take care of themselves through the methods that you practice for yourself, right? So I guess this is kind of gold because parents, especially, or entrepreneurs, or any busy person, they feel like they need to show up for themselves. Right? So, what are some non-negotiable self-care practices would you recommend for entrepreneurs or CEOs or whoever who has a tight schedule? Provide if they have, or also a parent, how would that technique that you would recommend benefit them? Or if there's like any quickies that you would recommend?
So, as a recovered perfectionist, I would steer away from the idea of non-negotiables. Because then you start to should yourself, oh, I should have done this, I should be doing that, I should be, and you end up with guilt and you end up in negative thought patterns and that sort of thing. So the first step I would say is don't think you should be doing everything just because somebody else is. Just because heaps of people have started doing ice baths in the mornings doesn't mean you should be doing an ice bath in the morning. It's totally fine that that's not part of your everyday routine. For me personally, I journal whenever I notice that whenever I notice that I'm struggling to stay present. I start to try and journal again more every day. There can be weeks that go past that I barely journal, and then when I realize that I am actually not very present because I'm so caught up in here, then I'll start to journal intentionally for 20 minutes a day or half an hour a day. And for me, sometimes that's before or after my kids go to sleep. Other times it's, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. I'm going to grab my journal. Did you guys want me to get some paper and pens, or do you want your journals? Because my kids, they're young enough that they don't write yet. Well, my eldest writes her name, but they draw and they color and they know that, okay, mummy's journaling, cool, I can join her. Or, nah, I don't want to. I want to keep playing this game. Okay, I'm going to be just over here and journaling if you need me. The other part, I used to use the Headspace app and journal for 20 minutes a morning.
Headspace?
Yeah, I used that for a while, for about a year. From that, I learned how to meditate, and now it's not really a thing that I sit down and go, okay, I've got these 20 minutes. It's, if I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I might go and meditate. I do it. I actually listen to my own guided meditation and I do it on top of an acupressure mat.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I've hit a point where I'm not responding as my best self and I don't know how to get out of that. That's my how do I get out of it? But throughout the day, I will practice gratitude and I'll look out the window for a few breaths, have a glass of water, and just notice something that I'm grateful for. So I think the biggest one from moving away from an anxious and stressed mind is practicing gratitude intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if we think back to the idea of embedding things slowly through neuroplasticity, when I first started, I had a book and write 3 things you're grateful for a day, and I didn't enjoy it, and I just filled out this stupid book. I'll write 3 things I'm grateful for, right? And they were kind of mundane. But now, because I forced myself to practice for so long, I don't have a book where I sit down and I have to, but I'll notice throughout the day, oh, I'm really grateful for this thing. I'm really grateful for that thing. I'm so happy that I have this thing in my life. Like it's like my reticular activating system is going, okay, I'm looking for things that I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing because I have been practicing gratitude for like a month and a half right now. I know it's not long, but so I am journaling it out in Threads, and the Instagram app. That's where it's easy to sort of jot down thoughts and send it away, and it also holds me accountable for that. And this is actually cool because when I started practicing out, it felt forced. So I wasn't exactly, I was like forcing myself, okay, I have to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. My laptop, my health, my body. It was like so lame when I started out. But then when I did not do that for like a couple of days, I just stopped doing that. And then when I'm at my lowest, when someone really pisses me off at my 9 to 5 or something like that, so I just look around and see I seek positivity no matter how small there is, like you just said. So I look for that. And then, so that's when I actually started to feel grateful instead of, jotting down just things that I wanted to be grateful for. So I guess that's a really important takeaway because you have to feel gratitude in order to write it down. You have to feel the words that you're putting out. Thank you for that. And I wanted to also bring up something else because many of our listeners are like leaders in their fields. So when you're like a leader and when you're like taking time to practice something like gratitude, people may think that others may be judging, okay, he's taking this silly notebook or she's taking this silly notebook and writing 3 things you're grateful for. And we have an important meeting in like 2 minutes and what is she doing and all that. And that piles on top of the overwhelm thing or the burnout and all those things that keep piling on top of each other. How would a person in this situation be able to manage the tasks and practice self-care that he or she wants to do at that moment? Would you could you give me any tips for that?
Yeah. Sorry, I was taking notes while you were speaking.
Oh, that's okay.
A few things came up.
Mm-hmm.
So in the idea that you described of someone's judging you from the outside, how can they be doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get comfortable with other people judging you and do what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's number one. If you are going to change your behavior because somebody else is judging or trying to rush you, then start there. Start working on sitting in the discomfort of, I can see that you're feeling rushed. Right now, I'm going to practice writing down 3 things I'm grateful for because that helps me prep for this meeting.
Yeah.
You can do what you need to do. This is how I prep. So it's holding that space to go, it's okay for somebody else to not agree with or not understand what I'm doing for me. That's okay. That's on them. And I can sit in the discomfort. And the more often you practice holding that boundary for yourself, the easier it gets. Sometimes it takes a while and it can feel really uncomfortable depending on what level of people pleasing you've currently adapted to. The second part there, which we've already just touched on, was boundaries. So setting clear boundaries for yourself. If you need to spend 10 minutes before a meeting doing any kind of self-care to prep for that meeting, set that time in your calendar. Hold the boundary. Hey, this is a really important meeting for me. Before I go into a meeting that's of this level of importance for me, it's important that I do some breathing exercises to calm my body down, to get into the right headspace. So I'm going to need 10 minutes before the session starts, and then I'll be in there on time and in the right headspace. And so it's what boundaries do you need to set for yourself, and then to set with others, and then also setting that boundary with yourself. So don't take the 10 minutes and then go on social media. Take the 10 minutes for the thing that you need to do that benefits your health. So it's holding the boundary with others to go, this is what I require for myself, and then holding the boundary with yourself to go, this is what I need to do for me so that I can show up as my best self. So it's a lot of it is boundary holding on both ways.
Totally.
And then you also mentioned, you said something that triggered some feelings for me from when I used to work in corporate. It's somebody else is pissing you off at work.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
So when you think somebody else is pissing you off at work, there's kind of blame and assumption in that statement. You're assuming that their behavior, that your emotional experience is their fault. And it's not. Your emotional experience is your emotional experience.
Yeah.
You might be triggered by what they said or something that they did. You might be triggered by it. Actually, what you might be triggered by, they could do the exact same thing, behave the exact same way with somebody else, and their emotional response will be different. So it's not that that person pisses you off. It's that something they did or something they said was a trigger for you. And so if that's happening often, whether you journal it through or talk it through or whatever works for you, but look at it. Okay, what was the behavior? What was the actual trigger for how I felt? Was it something they said, something they did? What were my automatic thoughts that came up when they did that? So learning to separate their behavior from your response and your internal reaction. That's really key to understand. Okay, their behavior is their behavior, and I had a reaction to it. My reaction is my reaction. Not every person will respond the same way. So why did I react that way? Do I need to let them know how I feel? Do I need to ask them for a different level of behavior? Do I need to hold a boundary? Do I need to process something? But it's like you can't control how other people behave. So when you think they're pissing me off, well, what is pissing you off? What is the behavior or the thing? And then what do you need to help you regulate and not be affected as strongly by the way somebody else behaves?
So I was not taking responsibility for my emotional responses. So I was like attributing my response to their behavior when I am the one choosing to respond that way, right? So I need to question everything, the reaction, the response that I choose to give out. So whenever something external happens, okay, God, that's amazing. This does feel like therapy, but yeah.
So do you want to? We can delve into that if you want. So if you're comfortable to share, you can give an example of something that somebody did that pissed you off, and we can break it down and do that now if you'd like.
Yes, please. Right now, as you may know, I'm living with my parents, and everything's, back to the same, just however I left it a year ago. So just the same. So whatever they say, the thing is, my parents, they obsess over these little things, like you have to clean your house every day, or you have to perform prayer for like an hour every day after I wake up, or something like that. So they're like completely religious. So I like to wake up peacefully and play like some classical violin music, which I love. So for like an hour in the background while I'm working, so while I'm practicing my 10 minutes of meditation or my 3 minutes of journaling or whatever it is that I do. So I like to do these things, but when they come and interrupt me from that and belittle me for doing these things or which they've never done, so that kind of triggered me, just to be honest. For example, another instance would involve them forcing me to watch a certain show that they like, which I don't at all. And even though I try to remain calm and, tell them and draw like certain lines, all I get is hate, or you think you're better than me, or where's the guy that raised you? I mean, so where was the child that I raised like 20 years ago? I mean, you're still a kid. I mean, those kind of responses. So I know so they're used to that kind of responses, but I'm still trying to educate them on, okay, I've changed, so here's my boundaries, and you need to grow up also. So don't focus on these, focus on these instead, practice mindfulness, and yada, yada, yada. So that's how it's going right now. So what do you see in this?
Okay, so from my notes, finish this sentence. When I'm interrupted in the morning, I feel
angry.
Okay. Why do you feel angry?
Because I am not being allowed to do the things that I want to, that make me feel good, that put me in a good mood, which is crucial for me to proceed with the rest of my day. Is that a lot?
Okay. No, it's all right. I'm just taking notes. So when I'm interrupted in the morning, I feel angry. I feel angry because I'm not allowed to practice the self-care that I know works for me. Hey, mum and dad, I appreciate that you really like to pray for an hour in the morning and you like to do your activity. That's your morning routine. That's not my morning routine. This is my morning routine. What I would appreciate is that before you enter my room, you knock on the door. And if I don't answer, please don't enter until I do.
Got it.
And if they still enter, when they enter the room, you hold a new boundary. I felt really frustrated when you entered my room and I hadn't given you consent to enter the room. This is my space. While I'm living here, can we agree that this is my space?
Okay.
And can you please ask for consent when you enter the room? So there's pieces in there. You can't control the behavior of your parents. So telling them to practice mindfulness, you're trying to tell them to take on. Well, you're trying to tell them the equivalent of them telling you to pray in the morning. You're saying you do the thing that I'm doing that works for me, and they're saying you do the thing that I'm doing that works for me, right? So you're actually practicing the same behavior, but you think your behavior and they think their behavior. You both think each of your behaviors are better, right? Nobody wins when people think they're better than each other. You're both equals.
Totally.
Prayer works for them. Meditation works for you. That's it, right? So there's hard parts in there. And being child and parent, it can be tricky as well, especially if your parents are older and they're really, how do I say this? They haven't embraced neuroplasticity. So they believe that their way is right and they're set in their way. That's somebody who has gone into a limited mindset. This is how I am is a limited mindset. My way is the only way is a limited mindset. And also this idea of what happened to the boy that I raised. It's kind of
messed up.
No, what I was going to say is when I started learning about boundaries, one of the most important things that I heard was the people who struggle the most when you start to hold boundaries are the people who benefited the most from you not having them.
So by drawing lines, I'm actually helping them? So by drawing
lines, you are setting a standard for what behaviors you will and won't tolerate for yourself. And it can feel uncomfortable for them when they think they know better or when they want you to behave in a particular way. And it's okay for them to feel angry, just as it's okay for you to feel angry. And you can still choose to do what is right for you. And if they have rules within their household that you are or aren't allowed to, that you have to abide by or you don't, then that's up to you to decide whether that's the right environment for you to live in. And also have a conversation with them to say, hey, I really appreciate you letting me stay here. And I know it's so important for you, XYZ. It's also really important for me that I, ABC. And can we talk about how we can meet in the middle somewhere? Because I really do appreciate living here and I really do want to stay. I kind of need this right now. And I also need to take care of myself. And this is how I take care of myself. So it's having that conversation, and it's going to be uncomfortable conversations as well, right? Because they're going to, then they have benefited in the past from you not having boundaries, and your boundaries might feel really uncomfortable for them. And the best thing you can do is not to teach them or to try and model them or change their behavior. It is literally to give them compassion and empathy and create a safe space for them to express their feelings. At the beginning of the conversation, regulate yourself and your emotions and say, hey, I want to understand how this feels for you. Tell me. You look like you're feeling angry about this. Talk me through what you feel angry about. And just listening with the intent to understand and with curiosity. Why is it important for them? And then exploring and understanding and either learning from it and meeting them in the middle somewhere, or actually going, I can hear why that's so important to you. I understand why you were feeling so angry about it now. Thank you for sharing that. And then go away and have a think about, okay, if that's something that's really important to them and it's not important to me, what do I do next? But again, it's standing that their world and their behaviors are based on them, and your world and your behaviors are based on you. So creating those boundaries for yourself really helps, and distancing yourself from your emotional experience is not their responsibility.
Well, my emotional experience is not their responsibility. That just hit me. God, I should write this down. And that's amazing. Instead of, I was trying to, impart my actions on them, which they're uncomfortable with. So I was kind of doing the same thing that they were doing to me. So I never saw it that way. So we both think that the thing we tell others is the good thing that we're advising others. So we're indirectly forcing it on the person that we're talking to. So thereby creating this kind of discomfort and this uneasiness that we both have to deal with. And if we don't talk about that, it results in so many dire consequences, like a strained relationship or something like that. So wow, that is a huge takeaway for me. So instead of just maybe asking them to practice my technique, so I just have to draw lines and practice them myself. And then maybe if they're willing to learn, maybe if they're willing to open up about their feelings, I can introduce these. So that is a good way to go about it. And
so stop. Yes, and I would also say, like, stop trying to think about how to change them. So you're saying you could introduce it if they're interested. You don't need to consider any of that. It's hey, I understand what's important to you. What's important to me in the mornings is to have my hour of listening to my classical music, and here's the things I do. And it might not work for you. That's okay. This is what I need in the morning.
Okay.
Full stop.
Okay.
And then continue doing your thing that you need in the morning. And if you need to have a conversation outside of that moment to understand it more, great, but not to get to a point that they're going to listen to you and take on board your things, because otherwise you're both going to be doing that. They're going to be going, yeah, mindfulness sounds great, but have you tried prayer? And you might be going, oh yeah, prayer sounds great, but have you tried mindfulness? Because you're going to get in this position where you're both trying to push your stuff onto each other. But if instead you just go, hey, this is what works for me. We're different people. It's okay that your thing doesn't work for me and my thing doesn't work. If you ever want to explore it, great, happy to talk about it. And if not, that's okay too. You've got your stuff and I've got mine. We are different people. Create that distance between who you are and how you show up, and who somebody else is and how they show up.
Okay. Wow. That is great. Just be me, I guess, to make that space and distance myself and just do what I do and let them do what they do. And what if this gets like out of control? Because recently it has been, in my case, for me. So there's like so many things that we agree on that, for example, if you had seen the me that I was like 3 years ago versus the me that I am now, I was a mess. I let everyone walk all over me, had like no self-worth and all that. So I was saying yes to everything. I never said no. And so, but right now, when they see me, it's like a huge difference for me. And I feel like I'm drawing lines like everywhere, like literally in everything, like talking or just cooking or walking or just going to the gym. So all these things, I feel like our relationship is strained on so many levels. Is there any way that I could let them know that I'm not adding friction between the two of us, but instead trying to create a healthy environment? Because from the other side, so it could feel like all I'm doing is resisting them or not letting them into my life when they've given me a home to live in. So there's this guilt inside of me that I want to process, but also in a healthy way. Is there any advice you got for me?
So my first response would be to practice conscious language shifts. Practice speaking every time you have to hold a boundary. Practice speaking in a way that isn't. Are you familiar with the triangle of drama or the four horsemen?
Four horsemen, yes.
Okay, so you know the four horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Yep. So the triangle of drama, to add to your repertoire of bits, there's three roles in the triangle of drama: victim, perpetrator, and savior. So if in any conversation you are trying to step into, or you accidentally step into, the role of a victim, the role of a savior, or the role of a perpetrator, you are in the triangle of drama.
Okay.
So you're going to be part of the friction, whether you intend it or not. Those roles are part of the triangle of drama. So if you want to step out of them, you can do it with language. So instead of, I can't stand when you open my door, or you always open my door, always is a blanket statement that can feel really hurtful to the other person, because they go, no, I don't do that. And immediately they're defensive, which is one of the four horsemen.
Yeah.
If instead you say, I feel really angry when I don't get the opportunity to finish my meditation before I come out and spend time with you.
Okay.
What I need from you is, and then think, so there's no blame on them. It's not you entered my room and I wasn't ready for it. It's none of that. It's, I feel angry when I don't get a chance to do this thing for me.
Okay.
There's no blame on that. That's just I need this thing and I feel this way when I don't get this thing for me. And what I need is an hour of space in the morning, or for you to knock on my door first, or for you to accept that I start my day differently. It's okay if you're not that comfortable with it. This is how I start my day.
Okay.
And so whatever it is, you can word it in a way that's less blame and therefore less likely to trigger one of their 4 horsemen. And if you speak in a way that isn't a victim and isn't a perpetrator, so perpetrator there is like the one doing the blaming.
Okay.
It's all your fault.
Okay.
And the victim is why me? And the savior is, I can fix all this, and jumping in.
That's usually me.
But so if you step out of those roles, you then get to have a conversation that focuses on, here's my emotional experience. There's your emotional experience. They're 2 different things. We have different perspective, and let's talk about it and open it up with curiosity, not blame or shame or guilt.
Okay. Okay. So this is like literally, instead of pointing it on them, instead of blaming them, or instead of victimizing myself, so I need to literally say how I feel and why I feel that way and what caused that. So I'm angry because you did not let me, listen to my music that I need, did not let me
So hold
meditate.
on, pause there.
Oh,
Pause there. I feel angry because you didn't let me. Is still placing blame.
okay, because I didn't get to.
So
Was that better?
I feel angry because I need my hour of meditation, or because I didn't get a chance to finish it. Because imagine how differently this feels to you.
Totally.
You didn't let me finish versus I didn't get a chance to finish.
Okay. I didn't get to finish.
That lands differently, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get to finish. It's a little bit closer to victim than perpetrator, but it's closer to like, I feel angry because I didn't get to finish the thing that I do that makes me feel really good. And what I need is to finish the thing that I do that makes me feel really good.
Okay. Okay. So it's like making it all about yourself by keeping the least bit of blame on themselves. So only telling them as to why you feel this way. Just, I don't know, I cannot put this in the right words, because not blaming them entirely, because not making it their fault, even though it could have been their fault, but the real thing is that I didn't get to do what I wanted because of what they did. So focusing completely on myself.
I felt angry. No, it's taking responsibility for your feelings.
Yeah.
I felt angry when you knocked on the door because I was in the middle of something that I wanted to finish first.
Okay.
So I felt then your emotion. Why did you feel that way? Because, and explaining it without saying because you always do this thing or because this happened. Sorry.
Yes.
But explaining in a way that isn't just placing blame and isn't taking all the blame away either. It's just literally observing the observation that triggered you. I felt angry when I was interrupted. Because that's what happened for you. You felt angry and you were interrupted. How exactly they interrupted you, you don't have to call out. The fact that you were interrupted, you can also say when you came into my room, like that's just an observation of the thing rather than when you interrupted me. When you entered the room, I felt distracted and I felt angry.
Okay.
It's different from when you interrupted me.
Okay.
Because they might go, but I didn't interrupt you. I was just entering the room. Your perception is they interrupted you. Their perception is they came in to help you or they came to do something. So if you can try really hard to understand the difference in perception of the actual event and be as objective as possible and clear on your emotional reaction to that event.
Okay. Wow. So I need to focus on what I am struggling with, my problem, and my reasons, my why, and my feelings inside when I'm describing it to the other person who may have good intention to come help me instead, but I was the one that is interrupted, so I was the one that didn't get to do the things. Wow, that is amazing. So thank you. And
then you've also got the point of if you feel like you're holding boundaries constantly, listen to them without the intent to tell them what you do or don't need, but listen. Like, why is it important for them to watch this show that you really don't want to watch, and you tried to hold the boundary and you're feeling so frustrated. So, I felt really frustrated when you wanted me to watch the show after I told you that I wasn't interested. Can you tell me why this show is so important for you, or why is it so important that we watch it together? And literally just try and understand their perspective, because the more effort you put into understanding their perspective, the more positivity you're adding into that relationship, rather than negativity of, I don't want this behavior, I don't want this behavior, I don't want this behavior. It's, okay, something here is important to you that isn't important to me. Let me understand why it's important to you. And if it's because they say, I need quality time, and that's how I get quality time, you can say, oh, okay, you want quality time. That's what you're really going for here. Great. Watching TV with you for a show I don't enjoy doesn't feel like quality time for me. What other things could we do that are quality time that we could both enjoy?
And then you brainstorm.
And maybe it's not quality time.
Okay.
And you work with them to resolve things, because in some situations, maybe the relationship isn't right for you, right?
Yeah.
But you're talking about a situation that you're in with what seems like parents you really do want to get along with, but you don't want to go back to old behaviors. And you're in this, like, how do I build the relationship better without going back into old behaviors? Some parts is just going to be you sitting with the discomfort of the things that they enjoy or that they're comfortable with and that you aren't.
Yeah. To deal with it sometimes.
That's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But there's also that piece in between of, if you're going to hold so many boundaries, cool, let's understand a little bit what their perspective is and what are their boundaries and what are the things that are important to them, so that you can find that middle ground where you can actually repair the relationship and focus on the relationship rather than constantly back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. So, and wow, that's amazing. So instead of fighting with them, work with them in order to understand them, so that, I mean, obviously they're human too. So sometimes I get so, cooped up with things that I tend to forget that they're human too, because they're also who raised me. They care for me all these years. But I don't know what happened in these course of the years and the past 2 years, but things got strained and I got into all this self-improvement and all that. But so a whole mess of crap happened. And then this part was something that I did not do. Put more effort into understanding how they felt. So instead of, pushing my things onto them. So yeah, okay.
Imagine that they came into your room in the morning and same scenario you've usually got, but instead of them trying to push on you to do prayer or whatever they wanted you to do in the morning, imagine if when you said this is important to me, they said, tell me why. Help me understand, why is meditation so important to you? And then you got a chance to tell them all the things that you really got from it and it's important. And then they said, that's what I get from prayer. And they explained to you, and it was the same things for them. And you said, we're getting the same outcome, but the method is different. And you walk away with an understanding of each other.
Yeah.
Instead of this, like, here's my boundary. Well, I don't like your boundary, and here's my method, and here's my method, and you should use mine, and you should use mine. Like, instead of all that, you just go, okay, hey, I feel seen and heard and validated that you took the time to understand what was important to me. And you can't change their behavior, but what you can do is you can model that behavior. You can show them understanding and compassion and curiosity. Yeah. And then they can feel that rather than literally feeling like he's being difficult and I don't understand why he's changed. I don't like this new version because this new version doesn't sit down and watch my show with me, and he doesn't come to prayer in the morning with me, and he doesn't do all the things that were important to me.
Okay. So instead of when I keep defending myself as to why my methods work for me, so they feel like shot down as to why I am undermining their methods and supporting my methods. If I just kept my, I don't know what this is, my ego, I guess. So kept my feelings aside and then just have an honest talk as to explaining why my method works. So I'm creating room for them to explain why their methods work, and then we find a common ground, and then you do your thing and I do my thing. That would remove friction like so quick. I'm gonna do that like literally today. Yeah.
But don't start with, this is why my methods work for me. Just start with, hey, sometimes I feel really frustrated in the mornings because I feel like I don't get a chance to do my practices. And I know that in the mornings you like to do this. Can you help me understand how that helps you feel? Or how do you feel when you do that? Or what do you get out of it? Or why do you choose to do that? Whatever question it is you ask with curiosity. Not to push your point on them, not with any particular goal, just to
Mm-hmm.
understand them, because that's what you want, right? You want
Yeah.
them to understand you and listen to you. So if you try to understand them and listen to them,
Mm-hmm.
you are showing them how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And you're giving them an example of how to do it. And you don't have to tell them any of that. You just
Yeah.
keep showing up that way. Hey, I saw that you felt really frustrated. It looks like you feel really angry that I'm not doing this in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me why? Help me understand what's going on for you. What are the thoughts that are occurring in your head when that
Okay.
happens?
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's just great. So, what I'm kind of curious about now is that, well, I'm sure you'd have seen a million of these cases of these situations of this exact place. How would it turn out, like after the conversation, what if the reaction to this conversation, like for example, I have this talk with my mom, and she says that she reacts in a funny way, so she does not acknowledge my feelings, or she's not willing to open up about why she wants to do the thing that she wants and why she wants me to do the thing she wants. And she keeps going back to that instead of analyzing why she wants to do the thing, why she wants me to do the thing that she wants me to. And what if the reaction keeps getting worse and worse and worse instead of them getting into the why of the thing that they want me to? Because this is
I
kind of
have
a likely
two.
situation, I guess, in my case at
I have
least.
two responses there.
Mm-hmm.
One is the thought that you just described is it's what if thinking. It's an unhelpful thinking style
Mm-hmm.
that often is paired with anxiety.
Okay.
So if you had said that to a therapist, and I have said something similar to a therapist, but what if this happens? And they went, well, let's pause for a moment. Is
Mm-hmm.
that a helpful thought? What if this
Okay.
happens? You have no idea what's going to happen, by the way.
Yeah.
Because what if this conversation goes really well and you end up better friends than you've ever been?
Mm-hmm.
Or what if this conversation starts and then you find out things about them that you didn't know before and you feel like, whoa, I didn't know that. And you have no idea what to do. You have literally no idea how this conversation is going to go because you've never
Yeah.
had it before. So I could answer the what if that's what happens, but I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have no idea what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
rather than predicting what's going to happen, you can just choose how you're going to show up. So if the conversation is going along and you go in with the intention of, I'm just going to apply curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
and I now know how to self-regulate in the moment,
Yeah.
right? You now know that skill. You know
Yeah.
that you can, you ask your mum why something's important to her, and she starts to explain it in a way, and you just think, this is how I wanted this conversation to go. That's your reaction to her behavior.
Yeah.
So now you can breathe and go, okay, I'm feeling annoyed because I'm trying to repair the relationship here and I feel like she's still trying to push her point on me.
Mm-hmm.
I can breathe through that and I can continue with my original intent.
Okay.
And you can continue with the words of, oh, I felt like I didn't really get an answer to that question. It sounded like you were just telling me why you wanted me to watch. I'd really love to understand what you get out of watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about it the most? Or why is it important to you? And just keep recognizing that the trigger you feel isn't because of their behavior. It's because you were attached to the expectation that the conversation would do differently.
Okay.
So when you were attached to an expectation and it doesn't turn out that way, there's a quote around anxiety is the difference between reality and expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines. So when you feel those big emotions of like, this isn't going the way I wanted, cool. That's awesome. I felt angry, frustrated, annoyed, sad, disappointed, whatever you felt when the conversation didn't go how I hoped. But the reality is, this is a conversation I'm in. I can still keep my intent. What do I say next? Or do I need to go, hey, Mum, this conversation, I came in here to try and understand this and I'm actually feeling a bit triggered. I'm going to go and take some space in my room for 10 minutes. I'm just going to do some breathing and then I'll come back and we continue this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So as the conversation progresses, just keep focusing on yourself and how you feel and checking in. And if you need to take space, you can.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to stop me, right? So that's great. So instead of acknowledging, trying to be completely focused on what they have to say or how they feel, their emotions, their feelings, I have to keep my focus on myself. I have to detach myself from my body and just look at myself as to how I am choosing to respond to the situation. I see it keeps going back to that. I mean, just step one. I mean, acknowledge my feelings. Yeah, right?
Yeah, and curiosity.
Curiosity.
So Don't listen. Yeah, don't listen with the intent to change their behavior. Listen with the intent to understand them better as a person and to connect with them and to learn from them. I want to understand you. What's important to you?
Okay. So what thing I also struck with something else is that I try to be a perfectionist, right? So I want certain things to be this way, and I'm pretty sure if I feel that way, many other parents out there could kind of feel that way, right? So how could that or a parent being a perfectionist affect a child? Or what advice would you give parents, who want their child to be confident and everything, since they feel that to be confident, perfectionism is kind of an important quality, and they try to model that to their children. So is there anything that parents should watch out for, in that regard? I mean, am I being specific? I know I'm kind of like blabbing right now.
So I used to suffer from perfectionism.
Oh, you too.
Prior to saying that, I would have told you I was a perfectionist, and that I was a perfectionist, and that it was just a quality about me. What I didn't realize was that it's actually a mental health issue.
Oh.
So
really?
perfectionism. Yeah, so perfectionism. There's a difference between striving for excellence and being a perfectionist. Those are two very different things. So striving for excellence, trying to do your best, trying to show up as your best or create something that's the best for you to do, that's great. Hold high standards for yourself. Perfectionism is impossible standards.
Yeah. Okay.
It's nothing is ever good enough. It's I can't try until it's perfect. I can't show someone until it's perfect. I can't post this on social media because it's not perfect, and I can't put forward this proposal at work because it's not perfect. Well, you're better off putting something out and learning, getting feedback. Hey, I'm working on this idea, or I just want to test this idea or something. And so when you apply perfectionism in any area of your life, you're basically saying, I have these really impossible standards and I'm not going to feel good about myself unless I meet them. And since perfect isn't possible, I'm not going to feel good about myself. That's kind of what perfectionism really boils down to.
I mean, if you put it like that, it sounds so negative. I mean, I thought I was kind of feeling proud about myself for being perfectionist, but oh my God.
I used to too. It's okay to have high standards and to aim for excellence. Perfectionism itself is not a healthy headspace to stay in.
Wait, so, and what about parents who are struggling with that, or what if parents don't see that they are perfectionists and try to force their, children who are really, really trying hard to be their best in order to, force them to, okay, you're not good enough. Okay, in my case, you see a lot of this in Asia. I mean, you would have heard that stereotype as Asian parents getting that when you get an A, why not an A plus? Why not 100? Why got just 99? So this went on for like a decade of my life. So I know how it feels. So how does a perfectionist parent, how does a perfectionist parent, model this kind of behavior into their child, or how does this impact their child is what I want to ask you. So is there any bad
Are you
or is there any good?
asking how does a parent model perfectionism, or how does a parent who's suffering from perfectionism model stepping away from it?
Second thing.
The second thing.
Yeah.
A lot of it actually comes down to your own standards and acceptance and mindset and the thoughts that you attach to or not. So let's take an exact example from what you just said. Let's say a kid comes home with an A and the parent says, why didn't you get an A plus? Like A isn't good enough. Well, why? Why isn't that good enough? Not good enough for what? Does the parent assume that their child not getting A plus reflects poorly on them as a parent because the child happens to not be interested in math? So there's a lot of, particularly in parenting, it's important to step away from expecting your children to behave a particular way to reflect on you. Your job is to show up for your child in a way that allows them to find themselves and to be their best selves. And if their best self is an A+ student, great. And if their best plus is a D- student, great. That's probably not a subject that they're interested in. Maybe they're getting bullied at school and they aren't able to concentrate in that particular class because their bully actually sits next to them and they feel scared. And when we feel scared, it's very hard to learn. Or their teacher is really boring and they don't understand the concept and it's not being spoken about in a way that they can connect with it. So, I mean, I homeschool my kids because I don't think that the schooling environment in its current state is actually a healthy environment for a human being to be able to follow their curiosity and I figure out who they are as a person and what they want to do in this world. I just don't believe the current education system allows for that. And so my views would be quite opposite spectrum to somebody who's got their child in school and, you know, wants their child to do really well. Okay, so what does it mean to you if your child doesn't do well? And what does well mean? And what is your fear underlying that? Because there's probably a lot of fear underlying it that the child may not get into university that they need to get a good career, to live a life where they have financial security. Maybe it's a fear that a poor grade equals lack of financial security in the future.
Okay.
So really underlying perfectionism.
Okay.
Yeah, so underlying, for me personally, my perfectionism took me a while to dig down into it. It was a fear of being unlovable and fear of not being enough. Oh. And so if I could just, you know, meet all these expectations and perform at this level, then I'm enough and I'm lovable and I'm acceptable and, you know, I'm worthy. So a lot of underlying that perfectionism is like accepting with self-love and self-compassion that you are worthy, irrelevant of what is on your report card and irrelevant of what your child chooses, what your child is interested in, or what you choose to do or say or how you show up. You are still a worthy human being, and there are things you can do to improve yourself. And there are things that you could do better. There always are in every area of life.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be at that position all the time. Good enough is good enough. And if it's not, well, what's the real danger of not getting an A+ right now?
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, and that's probably an underlying fear there of, well, if they don't get the good grades, then they're not going to get into this top performing school. Okay, and? Well, if they don't get into the top performing school, they might not get into this university. And? Well, if they don't get to the university, they're not going to become a doctor. And? Do they want to become a doctor? Are you placing their entire life's success on this one school? Because that's not fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, yeah, I would start to step into what are you trying to achieve by chasing perfectionism.
Okay. So I guess this kind of applies to people who are entrepreneurs or, you know, solopreneurs who are trying to be perfect, right? So when you have like no one, you know, cheering for you or no one supporting you, you want to be good. You are really trying to be good. I guess this is where striving for excellence, like you mentioned, and perfectionism come into play. And it's so easy to get weird into the perfectionism track, and rather than going along this one, trying to be best, or instead of constantly trying to be like 100% best and not doing anything at all, not launching anything at all. So how do you see this a lot in entrepreneurship? Or I guess maybe you could relate to this from your own entrepreneurial journey. So could you give us an example of how you dealt with a perfectionism kind of a situation in your professional journey?
Yes. I'll give you an example for someone else and then I'll give you my own example. So I recently started mindset coaching, and interestingly, most of the people that I've spoken to are passionate creatives who are on that entrepreneurial journey. Most of them were solopreneurs. And what kept recurring was perfectionism, but they didn't label it perfectionism to start with. It was an inability to focus, lack of motivation, lack of discipline, inability to focus on one task, feeling, you know, shiny object syndrome, and procrastination. Procrastination is a huge one, right? Procrastination because if you procrastinate, like why? If it's really important to you to get this thing done and you're procrastinating, there's probably something behind that. It might be fear that when you do put it out there, it's not going to be good enough. There's other reasons it could be, but most often in my conversations that's come up. And so when it comes to entrepreneurship, specifically entrepreneurship, what I will say is that if you don't get something out there, you have no data points.
Yeah.
But if you just test something in whatever imperfect state it's in, you will get feedback. And if that's, let's just pick social media as an example. If that's posting something on social media and you get no likes, well, that's not a reflection of your value or it's not a reflection of your value as a human being. What that means is that particular thing that you wrote, it didn't resonate with someone strong enough that they wanted to like it, share it, engage with it. That is feedback. Okay, maybe I could word it differently. Maybe there's something under there I'm missing. Maybe, I don't know, I'll try something different. But it's not a reflection of, I'm never going to make it as a content creator. It's just that didn't resonate. I now know that didn't resonate. So guess what? I'm not going to build an entire product based on that idea. Let me evolve the idea. Let me test a new post. Okay, this is kind of working and landing. I'm getting some feedback. I got negative feedback. Okay, did I word it in a way that was triggering? Did I word it in a way that felt like blame to the other person? Did I word it in a way that I could improve? And then you try again and you keep testing, right? So let's say every day for 10 days, you posted something, just the same idea in different ways.
Yeah.
And you got some likes on one day, some reshares on one day, nothing on 3 days, and it was all over the place. Well, now you have data points.
Yeah.
You literally have input, feedback, and data points to learn from. But if you had thought, I've got to perfect this message before I post it, and that 10 days you spent perfecting it and changing it, etc., and then on day 10 you posted it, you've got one data point instead of 10, right? And so it's not about putting crap out there if you know it's crap. But if you're like, as you know, I've kind of got an idea, well, share it and see if it resonates, because you might actually get feedback that shifts your perspective. You might get feedback that you go, I hadn't considered that at all. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll take that on board and figure out, how do I work that in, or is that something that's relevant to me? But until you try, you literally have no idea whether it's going to land with anybody, whether it's a valuable idea. And the example I'll give is I wrote my books, started the podcast to share, and I published my first book. And a few people from the podcast bought a copy, and then there was crickets. And I was like, oh, okay, now what? Literally, now what? I've got this book out there, and the intention is I'm going to write 13 books. What's the point of continuing writing? Okay, maybe it was just that book didn't land, and so I published the second one, and the same thing happened. It's like, okay, I need some help with marketing. So I contacted a book marketer, and they said to me, right, look, here's the process you can go through to become a bestseller if you're ready for that, but you need a back-end offer. So I thought, okay, cool, I'll make a back-end offer, I'll create an online course, and I created it. Now I have more products that I don't know how to market. And so then I thought, okay, well, if I need to market that, I need to start using social media. So I started posting on social media. And when I started doing that, I wasn't getting people into the book or the course. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And every step along the way, every step I have taken, I've learned something else that I didn't know. I didn't know sales and marketing. I didn't know copywriting. I didn't know storytelling. I didn't know all these pieces. But I wouldn't have learned that. I didn't know that had I not taken the step that helped me learn the lesson. And so recently I had a call with someone, and I said, they said, they kind of gave me some advice. And I said, but the problem is I don't want to just produce another thing, because I've got all these products. I've got all these offers to help people with them. I've got coaching, I've got books, I've got a podcast, I've got free stuff, I've got paid stuff. So it's not that I'm charging too much. I literally can't get people looking at my free stuff. What am I doing wrong? What can I improve?
Yeah.
What am I missing? And they said, well, ask people. Reach out to people and find out what value are they getting and what do they need? What are their problems? And so I started reaching out to people directly and asking and letting them know, hey, I'm thinking of doing this coaching thing. Will you have a call with me? And when I started doing coaching, I started learning a lot. And now I'm on the next part of my learning journey. But had I not been willing to literally send the first message, worded terribly, even the person was like, I'm not really clear on what you're asking me. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. Let me try again. And I tried, and we had a very good, and they ended up getting me on a call for their business, which was very lovely and very supportive. And, the next time I tried, somebody said, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. And I did, 5 or 6 free calls until I had one call with one person where at the end of the call, they said to me, can I give you some feedback? And I was like, yeah, I'm prepared for the feedback. Hit me with it. And they said, please keep going. I was like, okay. And they said, and when can I book a paid session? And I was like, okay, really? Well, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. Because they got so much value from that session. But had I not been willing to send the messages in the first place, had I not been willing to say it imperfectly or incorrectly, did you want to get that? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were answering your phone when you put your hand to the side. So if I hadn't been willing to send the message, if I hadn't been willing to have the imperfect conversation, if I hadn't been willing to just get on the phone with people without a real clear plan, I wouldn't have got all the feedback to get to the point that I became a good enough coach that somebody in a single free call with me would say, I would like to have another call with you and I want to pay you for it, right? But I wouldn't have gotten to that point if a year and a half ago, I didn't start a podcast because I couldn't get anybody to read my book. And the first podcast episode I did, other people, they cheered me on when I did it and said it was authentic and raw and great. But I felt so nervous and I felt so out of my depth. Yeah, right? I spoke about 100 miles an hour, which is still something I'm working on. But I wouldn't have gotten that feedback and I wouldn't have gotten out of my comfort zone. And there's no way I'd be having this conversation with you if I hadn't done all those things, because I would have been like, I can't go on somebody else's podcast. How uncomfortable. What have I got that's of value? But the more you just step out of your comfort zone a little bit, willing to be imperfect. Exactly. But you have to be willing to be imperfect. And the idea is that failures and mistakes are opportunities to grow and learn. They're not a reflection on who you are as a human being.
You're not your mistake. You're what you do after your mistake. You're what you learn from them. You're what you do. So I learned this part, man. Yeah. And to go back to being goofy on the podcast, so I started like 2-3 months ago. And God, you should go back and see the first episode. God, I was like, I started from the floor of my living room with my broken laptop, like holding on to this, like this. I mean, laptop screen was broken, so I had nothing to support me. And the webcam had a blurry, I don't know, some kind of glitchy or something. And I was like talking about workouts or something. I guess like biceps. That's what I started with. So I didn't even know what I wanted to talk about. So I had these few pointers in front of me, and I was so nervous. So I'm so glad that I started out despite how bad I was. So yeah, thank you for reaffirming that you were once, shit. Because I'm sorry, you started out. So,
no, I still feel I have the awareness now of there's so many areas that I need to work on. But had I not taken that first step and the 10 steps after that, I would have no idea what the things I would need to work on. I'd probably still be writing books without all the knowledge I've gained now. Like I've literally paused writing my book series because I've gone, okay, I need to get better at storytelling and I need to get better at communication to begin with before I can then go back into a book. So yeah, it's just kind of, you learn as you go.
And we're all, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have to learn everything yourself. I mean, no matter how many courses you take, no matter how many people you talk to, you are your own teacher and you have to be the best student to yourself too, I guess.
And the key part there is that learning has 2 stages. There's not just the acquisition of the information. Like learning it from a perspective of becoming aware of it is great, but it's not truly learnt until you applied it.
Totally.
You need to have clear actions that you can take in the present moment. That's the key piece. So having a coaching call that you get off and you feel all motivated, great. But what are the clear actions that you can take that are so small that it's more effort to make an excuse than it is to just do the damn thing? Right? So if you get off a call and you're like, cool, I've got this whole gym plan and I've got this whole diet plan that I can go, I know what to do now. That's knowledge acquisition, but how are you going to implement it? And that's earlier when you talked about having this big list that felt really overwhelming. That's what anything down in life, anything you want to achieve, it has to be so small that you can just do the thing. So instead of, I want to get really fit and I want to be going to the gym 5 days a week and I run a marathon. Great, that's an end goal. That's not an action. So what action can you take? Okay, well, I haven't run in 15 years, so I can put on my running shoes and I can just step outside. Like, that's pretty small, right? And if you get outside and you go, do you know what? I'm already here. I've already got my running shoes on. I might as well run. I haven't run in a while. I'll just run to the letterbox and back. Or I'll just run to the corner of the street and back. Like, just something small that you can do rather than having this big goal of I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do an hour and a half workout or a 45-minute workout. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to put my gym clothes on. And if I don't feel like going to the gym when I'm done with that, I'm going to do 5 push-ups. And then I'm going to take my gym clothes off. Like, have things that are doable. And so if you're, as a parent, feeling overwhelmed, have that, you know what? I may not respond perfectly. I can just take some deep breaths and then I can figure out what to do next. And just take those deep breaths in the 5 minutes. And even if a child is screaming at you while you're doing it or they're having a really hard time themselves, you can just say, I just need to take some deep breaths. And you can do the 5 deep breaths. And then you can check in with yourself and go, okay, what can I do now? What is something actionable in the present moment? Not a whole plan of how I'm going to respond to it. What can I do right now? Okay, I can open my eyes and I can ask my child, hey, what's going on for you?
That's it. Okay. It's really that easy. So you like literally what you can do right after the call, right after when you get off. So, and spelling it out for people can really impart them, can really give them the jolt to do that thing, right? So this is something.
Well, yes and no. They need to have their own reasons. So you can hear the most motivating speech in the world, but if you don't have your own reasons behind why that's important to you, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody can tell you all the things. Oh, it's really important that you have a healthy body weight and that you do resistance training and that you eat a healthy diet. Cool. Why? What does it mean to you? If you don't have your own why and a clear understanding of why this thing's important to you and why you must prioritize it, you're never going to get it done relying on motivation, because motivation comes and goes. So you have to figure out, why do I need this, so that you can remind yourself in the moment when it sucks. Because anything you have to do that's good for you is going to have moments where it sucks.
It's gonna. So yeah, it's like I have to put Mel Robbins here. I recently started listening to her, and I started with the oldest of her podcasts. So I'm kind of doing this thing. So whenever I start a new podcast, listening to that, I start with the oldest of ones so that I could get inspired from them. Okay, this is how they started out. So, and all that. So what she said was motivation is garbage. So half of the times you won't even feel motivated. And that's just what you said. So, and that's amazing because you now know that motivation is garbage so that you can actually do something to develop discipline instead. And to develop the discipline, you need the why. And that's what you got to spend the most time, figuring out, right? To find your why and how to go about doing that. So all these are tools, but without the why, you're in the blind, right? Oh God, I should write that down. That's yeah. And and there's one more thing that I want to talk about. So this is one of my favorite topics because tech. So tech is something that I'm obsessed with, AI and all that. And leveraging AI for mindfulness, for mindset and fitness and just staying well in life is something that I'm really like researching and I'm working on. So you have experience in tech, right? So how do you believe that AI powered like tools, like parenting tools, for example, or just, chatbots like ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever it is that you're working with, could help, people or business owners or entrepreneurs manage their life, or their family life, or just their relationships with their loved ones. Have you been using them, or is that something that you would recommend?
Yeah, I use ChatGPT. I use the paid version of ChatGPT, and I use it every day in so many different ways. So as an entrepreneur, my ChatGPT is my assistant researcher, my soundboard to test ideas, my pep talk giver. I will tell ChatGPT, hey, I have this idea and I'm feeling a bit frustrated because I don't quite know how to, can you give me a pep talk to help me get started? So you can use it for anything. The idea that you have to use AI in order to get results, I don't believe in, because a lot of the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, you can do entirely for free without any of the tech, without any of the stuff. When you hit a point where you want to speed things up, that's where AI comes in. So there's a lot of people who will complain about AI, about, oh, you know, I tried. Let's use it in a tech example. So people who will say, oh, AI doesn't write, ChatGPT doesn't write good code. Well, if you don't have a strong enough understanding to give clear instruction for what you need to ChatGPT as if it's an intern, no, it's not going to write good code. But if you are clear and you understand what you're asking for, it's amazing at being able to do things for you that speed up your time. And so if you're trying to use AI to create content as an entrepreneur and a content creator, if you don't have a clear view of your why and what message you want to get out there and what's important to you, you're probably just going to get some generic crap. But if you can frame it with a clear view of, hey, this is who I'm speaking to and this is the idea I have, but I need some help, and this is my draft, but I need some help with the storytelling component, or I need some help understanding how to craft a better hook, or I need some help with this part, then it becomes a really powerful tool. So expecting AI to do the heavy lifting for you, I think, is where a lot of people fall down and they start complaining, oh, it's not good enough. But if you use it as an assistant, that helps you speed up time. So instead of you having to go and do 10 courses to learn this skill, you can explain, hey, I don't really know how to do this part. This is what I'm trying to achieve. Can you help me? And actually, from two angles, can you help me by showing me what you think would be a better way to write this, for example? And can you break down why? So what was it that you changed and why did you change it? And you could do the same with a diet too, right? Here's what I'm currently eating. What small changes could I make to improve my diet, rather than, oh, here's the perfect eating plan and cool, I'm not going to follow that because it's too much work. But you could literally go, this is what my diet looks like. Can you help me make 2% changes? Can you help me just improve? I want to feel a little bit better. And they go, okay, cool, cut this out, add this one thing in. Excellent.
Got it. So it literally all comes down to how well you understand your problems so that you could explain this to someone else who can help you with your problems, right? So it all comes down to communicating and understanding your problems. And I still don't get the idea of why people get to demonize AI or any kind of tech in their life when it comes to areas like self-improvement, right? Because for ages we've never leveraged it when it comes to finding oneself for self-actualization or just staying fit. So we don't usually go to tech in the first place. We look for results, what people have already done with, or to learn from people who have already accomplished the thing that we want to do. Instead of, since we now have this new thing like AI, which can think for itself and which can give you results, that there's this fear that inside people that it might give out ridiculous results that they have to go with, and if that even makes sense to them at all and all that. And I guess that's where the demonizing whole thing comes from. And I'm not sure if you've seen this kind of situation in your life, but if you have, what advice would you give people to get over the fact that AI is not bad for them?
I have a tech background and my husband has a tech background, so that's not an attitude that we have in our home of demonizing it. I think, so to not answer your question directly, sorry, but to focus in on what you said, when you see a human being that you can resonate with, you can understand and relate to them, you create an emotional connection of kinds. So when a human being who looks kind of like you and has a journey that you feel like, oh, I've kind of been through that, that is relatable. That's probably why you're going to be influenced by them, because you think, oh, it's achievable because I saw what they look like then, and that looks like what I look like now, and I can see what they look like now, and that's what I want to look like. So you can see the before and after type thing, right? You know, these before and after shots. Whereas when you ask AI, you're asking general intelligence. So if you just ask, how do I get fit? Well, you're going to get the standard sort of stuff you could read in a textbook. But if you're really specific on what your problems are and what you're struggling with, and you ask for help and guidance and you frame the conversation, then it becomes more powerful. I think people think that general intelligence means knows everything and is able to solve every problem. But general intelligence requires framing, and it requires you to be clear on what you're trying to get, because otherwise you're going to get general advice and general responses and generic.
That's good because communication with AI is what people struggle with. I guess we keep coming back to that because that is the root cause of all the fears, the frustrations, and everything that is related to with tech at the center, right? So I guess that's where I should, educate more on people so that because personally, having been alone for so long, yeah, please.
Sorry, I have a question, but I can hold on to it.
Oh, that's good. So personally, I felt like when I have been alone for so long, so I have been using Gemini, so Google's AI it was kind of a funny story. I accidentally paid for the yearly subscription. I pledged my yearly subscription and I couldn't cancel it. So I kind of have no way but to, look at it or to talk to it. So that's what I kept doing. I talked to it for like 8, 9 hours a day and I got better at communicating. And if I talk to it now, like to say, hey, I'm overwhelmed, it gives me so much beautiful advice on, okay, I know you're doing this right now, just don't do this, don't do that, just take meaningful breaks. And it asks me, you would not believe, is your boss annoying you? And this was one of the response that I got. So because I've been talking to it for so long, like, okay, this is the task that I'm getting, I do not feel like doing, and my boss gave this to me. I might have mentioned this like days ago or something, and that AI remembered that and it brought it back to me and it empathized with me and it boosted me. And if I go say this to someone, they look at me like, I'm kind of a weirdo. Hey, you don't talk to people, you're not good at communication. And they see that how do I put it? They state that communication is a problem of mine when all I do is state out my problems. And I guess they're the ones turning a blind ear to it. And then when I actually go to a place who listens to my problems and I get good feedback and I tell this to them, I get looked down on. So yeah, I guess I don't know how to deal with that. So now that I'm out of there, I don't want to worry about that. So bad thoughts, segregate it out. So I guess I'm on the right track and I want to help more and more people. And thank you for reassuring that AI is not bad. And you want to ask me something, please do.
Why do you feel you should educate people on it? You said I should educate them.
Because I like to try new things. And if that is good, I feel like I want to get the message out that if it is a good thing, because everything has a limit, right? So if you know how to use it right. Why not do it? If it's going to help you, why not use it to leverage it? So that is my perspective. Number 2 is tech is my passion. And I do not want to let that go. And I want to help people leverage tech since we already have so many of this. There's so much, how do I put it? Let me reframe this because we use tech in literally every part of our life. So why not use it to get better? Not just business, but in life in general. So I want to shift their mindset to it can actually be beneficial. You do not just have to use it to work, but you can also use it to live a better life. I guess that's kind of the area that I want to, tell people, that I want to get people to understand that it's not all bad or something like that.
Are they wanting their mindset shifted?
Sorry?
Do they want their mindset shifted?
I'm trying to introduce this as a new way, so not forcing it upon them. So I guess this could benefit them in a way that in ways that they could never have imagined. And to answer your question, do they want their mindset shifted? Most of the cases, no. I only want to help people who would like to be helped, I guess, who actually see that there's a problem with that.
The way you described it, the reason I asked that question,
no, please,
because the way you described it was reminiscent of how you feel when your parents try and tell you how to do something. They're trying to educate you on their way. So the way, if you are in conversations where you're speaking to people who aren't interested in it and you're trying to push the idea on them, that's going to be received the same as your parents coming and telling you in the morning that you should do things their way, right? It doesn't feel good when you feel somebody pushing their ideas on you, right?
Yeah.
So when you say I should educate them and that they don't understand this, they don't believe this, you can help people without forcing your message on people who aren't ready for it or aren't interested in it. You can make yourself available and accessible to people who are interested. And that's what, as an entrepreneur, that's what that whole funnel idea is, and the nurturing and the, the bigger, what's it called, the larger market formula. So your content shares your ideas, and people who resonate with those ideas enter your world, and maybe they start to follow you, or maybe they sign up for something that you have, and you nurture and you build that education there. But if you're having a conversation with someone who hasn't actively shown you that they're interested in this and that they want to know more, chances are you're probably pushing your idea onto them.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Okay.
So it's uncomfortable to sit with. There's going to be points where you just have to see, okay, they're not interested. It's not for them. Maybe they're not ready for it, or whatever you need to tell yourself. But it's not my place to push this idea on them if they're interested. And you can literally say to them, hey, if you're interested in having a conversation about this, let me know. And if they say, yeah, I am, you can have that conversation. If they go, I'm not really, then like take that as they are not interested, let it go. Even if you know it could change their life. That's a hard one.
Yeah, it's gonna suck, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's uncomfortable. But the more the less time you waste trying to push your ideas on someone, the more time you can spend with the people who are going to learn from you and who want to know what you're talking about and who want to learn more. So you actually free yourself up for more meaningful conversation.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's amazing. So, and that's what I want to focus on. And how do you feel that parents or entrepreneurs or anyone in general can leverage tech to set something that I was struggling with, to set, healthy boundaries for their children and for themselves? How do you think tech can help with them with that?
So if somebody asked me that question and said, I'm using tech and I need to learn how to learn boundaries, the first thing I would say was, cool, ask ChatGPT or whatever you used to give you a summary of Nedra Tawwab's book, Holding Boundaries, Finding Peace. I would say, give me a summary of Nedra Tawwab's book, Holding Boundaries and Finding Peace.
Yeah, could you spell that out?
Nedra, Nedra, Tawwab, Tawwab.
Tawwab. Okay.
So Nedra Tawwab is, I would recommend you follow her if you're trying to learn how to hold boundaries. Her book, I'm pretty sure it's called Holding Boundaries, Finding Peace, but that's her name. You'll be able to find her book. She's got 2 now. She can help you understand what boundaries are, like how to hold them, what pull boundaries look like, all that sort of stuff. And then if you've had a conversation with someone and you just didn't feel good afterwards, you can process that conversation with ChatGPT. Hey, I needed to hold a boundary today and it didn't go very well. I don't think I did it well. Can you help me? Here's the gist of the conversation. And have a conversation with AI, framing it as, hey, can you pretend to be Nedra Tawwab? Can you please pretend to be a therapist who's talking to me? Can you please be a relationship coach? Whatever it is you're looking for, tell AI, hey, I need this kind of advice. And then if the advice doesn't feel right, ask for something different. It's literally treat AI as an expert in anything, but you have to tell it which expert you want it to be. Otherwise, you're going to get general advice. So, hey, I know nothing about boundaries. Can you help me get started? Cool. And then go from there. I had this conversation today. It didn't go very well. Can you help me figure out how I could have showed up differently, or how I could have held the boundary in a way that didn't end up with this big explosive argument? Cool. And learn and grow from there. But try and be as specific as you can of what it is you need and what you're struggling with, and then AI can help you. But broad, generic questions that you could Google, use Google. Like, that's not what AI is for. If it's a question that you would type into Google and you would get the same answer, then you're not using AI in a way that's really powerful. But if it's a question that if you were in front of a university professor of a particular field, or you were in front of a therapist, or you're in front of an expert in whatever this one thing you want to learn, and you ask them a really specific question where you've got a very specific problem that you want, like that one piece of nugget, that one unknown to you that you don't know what it is, then it's great because it has general intelligence.
Totally. This could be awesome. So speaking specificity, and what are your predictions on how tech or AI in general, sorry, I said specifically, I'm not going to general, but yeah, okay. So on how tech could shape parenting in the coming years, or how should parents prepare? Because like I said earlier, so technology is not going to stop, so it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and at least in the next decade at least. So how do you think parents specifically should prepare for the upcoming technology, and how they could be able to leverage this into their life, especially with parenting? Is there a mindset that you would recommend that parents must develop in this regard?
Interestingly, you asked quite a broad question. So from a parenting perspective, when it comes to technology, there's two paths that are most important to me. One is, if you don't have strong tech skills, acknowledging that and learning alongside your children to help your children stay safe digitally.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of things that are not going to be age appropriate that they might stumble across. And if you completely turn a blind eye and don't either find people that can help them or learn alongside them, they might hit a point where you go, no access to the internet. And then as a 25-year-old, they get screwed over because somebody scammed them because they didn't understand what phishing was, or what scams were, or how the internet works, or how to stay secure online. So if you don't educate yourself on tech, who's going to educate your child? And if you do have somebody that can do that, great. Probably still get educated yourself, because it's going to impact you as well. So for me, this whole tech scares me and I want to step away from it. Well, if it scares you, it might scare your kids. And do you want your kids to be sitting alone with that, wondering what to do? So just dive in and start learning. So that's one piece for me. The other piece for me is, I understood parenting better because I understand how AI is trained. And would you like me to explain that? Sorry.
Please do, yes.
So when I worked in AI, I had the benefit of sitting down with people who really understood how stuff was built and how it worked from a technical perspective. So I probably understand natural language processing better than a lot of people who are just interested in AI. But specifically when I started learning about chatbots, and somebody was explaining to me, okay, here's how you're going to train the model, and because we were about to do a proof of concept, and I was like, so hold on, I'm going to give it all of this information, and then it's going to respond based on the information I've given it. They're like, yeah. I was like, okay, how is this going to be any different from raising a child? Because what you expose them to and what you tell them is right or not right, or safe or not safe, or acceptable or not acceptable, all of those things determines how the AI is going to behave. This is true of human beings. Based on what you're exposed to, based on what you've been conditioned, what's been modeled to you. And so while you might look at AI and think, okay, well, you're feeding it data specifically with intention, well, life is like that too. So if you're not intentional with the experiences that your children have, well, they're going to learn from them. Whatever they do learn, they might be conditioned or modeled to behave a particular way. And so everything you do, just remember that it's becoming a part of who they are. And so you can be that conscious model for them that says, oh, hey, we saw this thing happen at the park earlier today. How did you feel when you saw that other kid behave in this way? I felt this. Okay. Do you think that's acceptable behavior or not? And have a conversation and teach critical thinking on top, because there's going to be a lot of data input for your child in everything they experience, and you won't have control over it, but you can be the critical thought leader in their life to assess, okay, was the behavior you saw acceptable? Were the inputs you saw age appropriate? Was, do you need exposure to different kinds of people or different kinds of things? Do we need more diversity in our lives? All those questions, to me, understanding that from an AI perspective, AI will behave the way you train it and what you train it on. The same is true of children. So what you expose them to, what you train them on, I don't mean to say you train your children, but what data inputs and influences and all those sorts of things that your child receives from the world, they're going to learn how to become the person that they are. And so just being really mindful of remembering that your child is going to receive intense amounts of data inputs. And in the same way that people are scared of, well, if AI gets access to everything, who knows how they behave? Same is true of human beings, because we've seen what happens in history when human beings are exposed to unhelpful behaviors. We end up with wars and I won't go into all the political things that we end up with, but you can pretty much get them yourself. And so for me, it's really understanding, the modeling of a healthy human being and the modeling of how AI can work cohesively with humanity, to me, is important.
I mean, that's amazingly put. I mean, it's just another brain, right? So it's like training how we train ourselves with the information from the outside world, or how we feed information to the others. That's just the way AI is trained. So if it's gonna behave that way, it's gonna behave that way because you're giving it that information. So why not just you take that same concept and then apply it on your own life, where you give good things and expose them to bad things, not like completely avoid the bad things, but then feed mindful information so that you grow as you grow. So I guess that's a great takeaway from this. So, and may I ask, when did you get a chance to really observe how AI was trained, and what was your first reaction when you saw that this is how it's being trained?
Well, for me, so I studied IT at university, and I had a career in fintech for 10 years before I left corporate. So I didn't have any like huge, oh my God, this is, because to me, my entire career has always been, what's the latest tech? What's the latest tech? What's the latest tech? Because it was, this is the latest tech. How are we going to use it? How are we going to implement it? How do customers benefit from it? How are we going to decrease costs and increase efficiency and all that sort of stuff? So for me, it was just the next tool. It was, okay, there's a new database today. There's a new best practice model tomorrow. Okay, we're using AI and robotics now. How does it work? This is how it works. Okay, how do you implement it? Cool, this is how it works. So I didn't have this huge like, oh my God, AI, because I knew it was coming, and I was just, I remember, actually, I do remember when I first saw it, I was like, I didn't know that AI had developed to this point when ChatGPT came out. But I also remember when I started working with chatbots thinking, I thought it was smarter than that. So those were my two moments. When ChatGPT came out, I was like, wow, yes, I have this in my personal life. This is awesome. But I did have a period of resistance when my husband was like, hey, there's this thing, ChatGPT. It's really awesome. Let's use it. But he framed it in a way that he was like, you could, instead of saying you could get it to help you write and improve with ideas and be recent, he said you could get it to write your books. And like, that hurt a little bit because I was like, thanks, but I'd like to write my own book. But so I had because I didn't want my writing to be replaced, right? So even somebody who had so much tech experience and who had worked with AI, I was resistant for about a month, but then he kept using it and telling me all these benefits. And I was like, do you know what? Yeah, it would be pretty cool. I'll try it. And then I remember the first time I tried it, I had like an hour and a half or 3 hours just sitting there having a conversation with AI, which I actually published on medium.com when I did it, because I did it as a podcast episode, but it didn't sound good for me, like talking and then typing. But me getting to understand and learn a bit more by connecting with, okay, what is this thing that I'm using and how can I use it? And, what are you and who wrote your principles and what are those principles, so that I know what I'm getting into. And so for me, I got to know AI to see, okay, well, who defined your rules and how often are you updated and what will you store about me? So what's my privacy here? And how often are your like primary principles and values updated and those sorts of things? Because I didn't want to be using AI that didn't have values that I thought were good for humanity. And obviously there's going to be some of that in AI as well, but just generally speaking to AI as if it's another human being that you're trying to get to know or that you're trying to learn something from, that's how you can use it well.
Yeah, that's great. Treat it as another human. So it's not like a weird like 0 just another human. I mean, it's so easier if you think about it. So when you think about it, when you treat it as another human, the communication, it removes so much tension from the air that the conversation becomes so much easier, right? At least that's how I felt when this whole time that I've been talking.
Well, the beautiful thing there as well is AI doesn't have passive aggression built in, for example.
Oh God, yes.
So you can, right? But humans can have passive aggression or aggression or withdrawal, the triangle of drama, the four horsemen, all these things we've talked about.
Yeah.
Humans have those to varying levels and all sorts of other psychological things built in. And that's not to say that AI is perfect. It's best as it can be based on the inputs it's received, but it doesn't respond from an emotionally triggered perspective.
Yeah.
So you can have a conversation with AI that is a difficult conversation for you to have with a human being, but you get to practice with somebody who doesn't have emotional reactivity. And you can also break things down that are uncomfortable to talk about with another human being and practice that skill. And again, neuroplasticity comes into play. Just because you're talking to a computer doesn't mean you're not practicing the skill of talking and communicating. So if you are really feeling shy and uncomfortable, practicing with a computer can be an exposure that helps you practice that skill, that gives you enough confidence to, go to the supermarket and say hi to the person who's serving you. And then, if that's where you're at, it can help you get to the point of feeling confident to say hi and then be like, okay, I connected with another human being because I was able to practice with AI and talk through all those insecurities or those other things that might be coming up. That because you already feel that way, it's even harder for you to have a conversation with somebody to ask that question.
So it reduces the barrier of entry, I guess, in a way. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So God, I learned so much from you, Lisa, and thank you so much for making the time to meet with me. And if there's anything that you would leave our audience with, what's the one thing that you would tell them?
That your reality is based on your perception. And the sooner that you realize that, the more control you have over your own reality.
The world's just the way you see it. Yeah.
If you don't like it, you can change it.
Anytime. So there's never a right time, but you can change it anytime. Yeah. And yeah, thank you so much, Lisa, for making the time. God, how long has it been? I didn't look at the timer. Yeah.
No idea. Almost 2 hours.
Yeah. And it was really, really lovely having you here. And I'm pretty sure our hopefully huge audience, is going to benefit from this. And where can people find you? So could you give us your social handles and how people can connect with you?
Yeah.
Take it away.
At Pircher-Reid on Threads. I'm sure you'll link it in the show notes so people don't have to figure out how to spell my name. And if you're interested in knowing my broader set of things, it's processingmind.com. We have, between my husband and I, we have books, podcast, music, courses, coaching, tech platform to start your entrepreneurial journey as well. We've got quite a lot there. So if you need anything, feel free to connect with me directly just on Instagram. It's at Pircher-Reid, and let me know where you're at, and I can point you towards the right direction. And I've got stuff everywhere from, if you've got no money and you've got lots of time, we've got free stuff, and if you've got a lot of money and no time, we've got paid things. So it's wherever you are, trying to meet you where you're at and help you to create a reality that you love.
Yeah, that's amazing. And thanks again for sharing, all this with you. And connect with Lisa, guys, since she could really help you out. So we got the whole package. She's giving you everything. So feel free to connect with either of us to help you on your journey. And just like I always say, I'm rooting for you from afar. And if anyone hasn't told you, I love you and I love every single part of you. And have an amazing day and make someone else's day better. And I'll see you soon in the next episode. Thank you.